And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking the Belgium Grand Prix Fallout. Finally, after, well, let's be fair, disqualification news, Perez's news, but we're finally at our Belgium Grand Prix Fallout video. So let's check it out. What's coming? Well, we're going to be talking about Jonathan Wheatley going to Audi, announced on the 1st of August. Yeah, quite shocking. I didn't see that coming. Did you? Also, the FIA to allow mule cars. What are mule cars? Well, say, for example, you want to test new regulation cars, maybe a new front wing, new tyres, but with an older car. Essentially what a mule car is. New bits and old bits. Get into that in a second. McLaren also, congratulations, Andrea Stella. They renew Andrea Stella's contract. I'm thinking, well deserved. Bearing in mind, McLaren have now one of the fastest car, if not the fastest. Last but not least, an update on Ricciardo and Sergio Perez update. Yeah, we'll get into that one as well. So, first of all, let's talk about Jonathan Wheatley going to Audi. Now, following on from Red Bull's bombshell early on the 1st of August, where they announced Jonathan Wheatley was gone, but they also announced that Jonathan Wheatley was going to Audi. And that's something that Audi probably would have wanted to announce themselves. So either Red Bull were being petulant about it, which I don't think they were. Some people have suggested maybe. Or there was just some massive miscommunication. But Wheatley, though, when he does go to Audi, he's going to work closely alongside fellow Audi signing Mattia Binotto. Two team principals. We'll get into that. But yeah, as you know, Jonathan Wheatley is he's the current Red Bull sporting director. Kind of like the number 2 to Christian Horner. But having confirmed the signing of Mattia Binotto before the Belgian Grand Prix, Audi have now clarified that Wheatley is going to head up the management team at Sauber alongside Binotto. Yes, they do have different jobs. So duties and responsibilities between the two are going to be individually defined, and that's according to Audi, with Binotto and Wheatley assuming responsibility for the success of the Audi F1 team when it takes over Sauber in 2026. But Wheatley was going to be there obviously a bit sooner. Now, Chief Operations Officer and Technical Officer Binotto, he's going to take over the operative management. That sounds really like HR speak, but he'll be the operative management of the Sauber Audi, leading the technical development of the racing cars. He's going to oversee the technical interface between Sauber's team at Hinwil in Switzerland and the Audi Formula Racing in Nürburgring, Germany, where the power unit is going to be developed. Now, by July 2025, Wheatley will have served his gardening leave from Red Bull. The theory is he's going to stay with Red Bull to the conclusion of this year's, the 2024 championship. Then he's going to take up his role as team principal and management spokesman, focusing on the performance of the team. Essentially, he's going to be Audi's F1 team principal. He's going to be the guy that's going to be there in the team principal meetings, being interviewed, etc. And he came out and said, "I'm extremely proud to be part of the Red Bull racing journey over the last, over the last 18 years. And will leave with many fond memories." He says, however, the opportunity to play the active part in Audi's entry into Formula One as head of the factory team is a uniquely exciting prospect, and I'm looking forward to the new challenge. Absolutely you are, Mr. Wheatley. Now, the FIA, for our next story, are introducing Mule Cars. What are Mule Cars? Well, we'll get into that in a second, but following meetings for the F1 Commission recently, the FIA have written into the rulebooks a number of changes, and so ahead of what is going to be quite significant changes for 2026. Yeah, those new changes, new cars. Just as when we have a really good championship now, they're changing it again. What on earth? But the FIA, they've outlined a tweaked rulebook allowing the running of Mule Cars and the rules under which they're going to operate. Now, mule cars are not really a regular occurrence in Formula One, given that existing cars, and they're usually existing cars that have been modified to run components or configurations for a different rule set. This is going to be obviously quite important for 2026, given the cars conforming to these regulations don't yet exist. Now, the FIA have outlined the testing of the mule cars. If you are a article nerd, it's Article 10.2, defining mule cars as being those designed and constructed to the current technical regulations or those of the previous 4 calendar years to the current calendar year, albeit suitably modified for providing the FIA with a means to test components. So, mule cars, for example, were last seen for use in 2021, with 2019 machines being altered to run the new 18-inch wheels ahead of when they were introduced in 2022. And a defined mule car will also be modified for the purpose, for example, of supplying Pirelli with the means of testing for its tyres. So there we go. Mule Cars. How exciting. McLaren, though. I think this is more exciting, though. If you're a McLaren fan, of course, McLaren extend Andrea Stella's contract as team principal. And this guy, if you didn't know, the former Alonso and Michael Schumacher engineer, he was granted a multi-year contract extension as McLaren's F1 team principal. And why not? He's doing such a good job. And it's multi-year. Now, this was announced on the 1st of August. So Stella, as you know, he's led F1 squad since taking over from Andrea Seidl at the end of 2022. Andrea Seidl recently gone from the Audi team. Now, but in that time, McLaren has leapt up the F1 pecking order thanks to what has been a series of big upgrade packages. Now, the team taking 2 wins in that season. Let's be fair, I can't help but thinking should have been more. As well as a further 18, that's 18 podiums since the start of 2023. And he said himself, it's a privilege to be part of the McLaren Formula One team. I am honoured to continue in my role as team principal, he said in the McLaren team statement. He went on saying, we've made great strides forward in the past year and a half, and we still have a lot more work to do consistently. Fight at the front of the grid, which exposes an exciting challenge. So, Andrea Stella, look, I suggested the other day that Mr. Stella has done a really, really good job, for example, at McLaren. But Andrea Seidl potentially laid the roots there for him, not to take away anything from obviously Stella. But then other people have suggested when Seidl left, how good were McLaren? So yeah, I guess take that what you will. Let's get into our next story though. Last but not least, Ricciardo and a Sergio Perez update. So we're going to be looking at the data behind the two drivers, but we know that Sergio Perez is going to continue for the foreseeable at least, as Max Verstappen's teammate after the summer break, and this is despite the poor performance metrics over the last month. Now, Christian Horner and Helmut Marko, they've had a difficult decision in the last weeks for the battle for the Constructors' World Championship, and that becomes fiercer with Max Verstappen up against essentially 2 drivers in McLaren, 2 drivers in Mercedes, and potentially 2 drivers in Ferrari, scratching his head wondering where the heck Sergio Perez has gone. And the numbers between Sergio Perez and Verstappen, I mean, the numbers don't lie. Now, I know people have come out and suggested, like we did say it was a rumour, that Liberty Media have put pressure on Red Bull. Don't get rid of Sergio Perez, please. We're going to lose lots of money. And that the Verstappens were told that Perez was gone in Belgium. These, once again, were rumours. I just listened to the Race podcast, that are saying, like, these are rumours, we don't believe they're true. These were F1 Insider, and I think potentially Italian media put it out. Who knows? Where there's no smoke, there's fire. But I think we can all agree that Sergio Perez staying at Red Bull with the fans, and even I think some of the F1 personalities, is slightly divisive. But fair play to Perez, and I hope he comes out swinging and starts getting on the podium and winning. I've always said that. I want him to do good. He's a nice guy most of the time. But what we can't ignore, as I said, is the numbers. The 2024 season is apparently one of the most evenly matched when you look at in terms of performance between teams, which means Perez needs to perform even more. Now, in this situation, the impact of drivers behind the wheel is going to be absolutely decisive to where their team is going to finish, how they're going to win, etc. Now, of Red Bull's 408, that's 408 points so far, 277 have been scored by Verstappen. Perez only on 131. This places Red Bull as with this big 4 teams. The big 4 teams being Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes. It places them with the worst ratio between their teammates. And at this point, this is the point where I share the screen. I mean, if you look at this ratio here, we've got Red Bull, Verstappen and Perez 67-32. McLaren, Norris, Piastri fairly close, 54-45. Ferrari, Leclerc and Sainz, that's the closest, 51-48. But Mercedes, Hamilton and Russell, 56-43. The caveat there is Russell was DQ'd. And a lot of people have suggested that Russell, up until recently, was outperforming Lewis Hamilton. But we can't ignore the 67-32 between Verstappen and Perez. Perez quite clearly not pulling his weight at all. Now, if you want to look at other differences, I mean, look ahead. This is the difference in points that they've had in terms of, and as for head-to-head qualifying, comparing the posts of both of them in the same sessions. Here we go. Head-to-head qualifying between Verstappen and Perez. It starts at 3/10, 3/10, 3/10, and then really close in Japan, you know, just 6/10. Not 6/10, but 0.600 even. Then 3/10 in China, 2/10 in Miami, and after Imola, things start to go a bit awry. We got half a second there, 3/10 in Monaco, but then he qualified P18, and then Verstappen's is P1, and obviously P6 in Monaco. Okay, maybe that was an outlier, but then but then 9/10 behind Verstappen, 6/10 behind Verstappen, 8/10, nearly 9/10 behind Verstappen in Austria. Then came Great Britain and Hungary with the Whipsadays in qualifying. And to be fair, he was 6/10 behind Verstappen in Belgium, but did qualify on the second row. So as Verstappen has got P1s, 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 P6, P2s, P2s, one, you know, first, fourth, third one. We have a P2 and a P2 qualifying P3 in Belgium. They're his best. And P5 in Bahrain. They did have the best car, not particularly good. But after Imola, this is where the issue is. Imola, P11, P18, P16, P8, P8, P19, P16, and then he sort of came good, P3 in Belgium, but then he finished 8th. But they're still holding the top spot, and with McLaren Mercedes on the rise, it says here, and the Ferrari, despite their problems in recent races, they are very much, let's be fair, McLaren are very much within striking distance. Potentially Ferrari and Mercedes, if they improve, could be as well, with Mercedes looking very good in Belgium. I do think Red Bull have got a lot to think about. They're keeping Perez. Fair play to them. I mean, you can't say they haven't given him a chance. He's going to have to show that now, isn't he? Absolutely. Anyway, this has been the Hot Lap. If you want to give us a subscribe, that would be amazing. Hit that notification button if you don't want to miss a video, and we will no doubt speak to you soon.